Real estate is about freedom, choice freedom, time freedom, and money freedom, and the impact you can make with that freedom. But it doesn't come without cost. Your freedom takes work. That's why Neil Timmins brings together the tools you need to build your real estate legacy, from tips and tricks to interviews with industry titans. It's all here in one place. Real Grit. Let's get to it.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Real Grit. I'm Neil Timmins. Hey, I'm here with Stinson Bland, a good friend of mine. He's been in the industry since 2009. He hails from Waco, Texas, and he fixes and flips. He buys and holds, but he's done a whole bunch along the way, and we're going to catch up with him today. How are you, my friend?
Thank you, sir.
It's good to see you.
Likewise.
Tell me, life's a journey, but let's just start at the beginning. How'd you get into real estate or the investment component of real estate?
Yeah, absolutely. My old business was an online marketing business, working primarily with Wall Street companies. I was kind of on the forefront of PPC. I mean, this is back when you had to read books to learn how to do PPC,
Yep.
And it wasn't as easy as it is now. So I was helping small cap companies advertise their private placements and their capital raises. When the crash of '08 happened, I was self-employed. All my clients were in New York. When the market crashed, I can remember the exact day Lehman Brothers filed bankruptcy, and I was like, I'm ruined, financially ruined. I was in my mid-20s, living well beyond my means, leasing 2 nice cars, living in a penthouse. Like, I was just dumb, right? I had a little bit of money, and I just kept thinking and saying to myself, buy low, sell high. That's what I knew from the stock market, right? Buy low, sell high.
Right.
The housing market was crashing at that time. And so I was like, well, this is an opportunity. I was in Dallas at that time. We're in a good, stable market. It wasn't crashing quite like the rest of the country, but I thought, hey, buy low, sell high. I mean, this is the time to do it in real estate. Based on what I've known is that all the richest people in the world had a ton of real estate, right?
Right.
So I dove in, started doing research, and found a guy locally doing a thing called, I can't remember, Flip Live or something like that. But I went out to it, and basically it was Mike Hambright, good friend of ours.
Yep.
You would come out, you would see him when he bought the house, you'd see the house, you'd come out 2 weeks later, you'd see him rehabbing the house, and a couple weeks later you'd come out and he would list the property. So that was really cool to me. Mike and I clicked really well, and he was ultimately doing that because he was in the business of selling franchises for HomeVestors. So I bought a HomeVestors franchise, worked under Mike. That first year I was just wholesaled. I had a business partner. We did 14 deals that first year, and 12 or 13, I can't remember, all sold to Mike.
Okay.
He was my coach, my mentor in the HomeVestors franchise system. Yeah. And he was easy, right? It was text message, it was, a little negotiating, it was easy money, we were both winning. I mean, I had a huge assignment over $80,000 to him. He was cool with it.
Wow.
Yeah, it was that's an interesting story. Actually, amazing house in Preston Hollow, the nicest neighborhood of Dallas.
Yeah.
He came out, I got a really good deal on it. He came out, we thought it was 4,000 square foot according to CAD. He came out and he was like, hey man, I think this is bigger. And this is like a $300 a square foot neighborhood,
Yes.
Yeah, so CAD was off. It was bigger. So my assignment went from like 10,000 to I was trying to get 100. He negotiated down, so it was like 80 or something like that.
Hey, just for the audience's sake, when you say CAD, in my world, that the assessor's website, the county assessor who has measured the square footage.
Correct.
Yeah, and I have lived what you just said probably 6 times maybe in my life. So don't always assume that county got it right.
That was the lesson right there with he was my mentor too, right? Like my coach in the franchise.
Yes.
And that day I left there and went and bought one of the wheels, the measuring wheels.
Yep.
Because in Texas, most houses are perfect rectangles. So
right.
Instantly I bought one of those wheels. But now, 10 plus years later, I guess 12 years later, I can feel the house probably like you.
Correct.
When you get in here, like, this
right.
is right or wrong.
Right.
So I don't have a wheel with me anymore. I just kind of feel it. And now we can do it on Google Earth and stuff like that. So.
Right.
But anyways, bought the franchise, wholesaled, saw that Mike was making a ton of money flipping, so we got into flipping with my business partner. Did that in Dallas. I regret every one of those houses that I sold between 2010 to 2014. All those houses have doubled in value since then. Should have held them.
Right.
I guess around 2014, stopped buying houses and started focusing on coaching and the mastermind aspect of the business. Mike and I did some selling from stage and coaching locally, and then we started Investor Fuel and started doing the mentoring or mastermind aspect of it.
Yeah.
And what really happened is I got surrounded by people like you guys, like you, and learned even more and more and more. And I had this inner desire to get back into the building wealth stage, right? I was making good money there.
Making money. Yep. Right.
And the interesting thing is that there was an invisible paycheck associated with the mastermind aspect of giving back and helping and watching other people grow. But after you get it for so long, you have to look inside and say, well, I'm helping all these other people grow, but I'm not growing too, right? Like I was growing in spirit, but not
building. Yeah, not building wealth. Right. Yeah. Right. Right.
So in 2019, I was in Dallas at that time. In 2019, I started advertising down here in Waco. I see Waco as one of the fastest appreciating markets in Texas. It's also, I say this with all due respect, I love this town, but it's about 10 years behind. So I knew with everything I've learned from all my great friends in the industry that I believe I could come down here and dominate with grit, for one. I work extremely hard, and then technology, right? Like I believe that my business is way more advanced than most people's business in the local market in regards to real estate, in regard to data, online, SEO, things like that. So since 19, we've been buying down here. During COVID, during the pandemic, it's a perfect excuse for me and Daniela, my fiance, to say, to hell with it. Let's move. We're not doing anything now. We're in a house all day. So we made the move to Waco, and we could
move from Dallas to Waco in 2019. Now, what's the business look like today?
Yeah, so the business is still very, very, we kind of talked about this a little bit. It's very lean. It's me and a couple of VAs. This year we bought 42 houses.
Great.
Well, I say we did 42 transactions. We had some assignments in there.
Yep.
But most of them, I would say probably 90% of those houses we took down, either flipped, they're rentals, we've owner financed 3 now, or just listed as is. And that's the direction I'm going more in right now is maybe do 1 flip or 2 flips a month, list the rest as is.
Yep. And then hold what percentage?
Hold it. It's based on the properties and it's how deep we buy on this basically.
You run it through some sort of matrix on the buy side to decide how you're going to exit, right?
I wish it was mentally. Yeah. I mean, that's what I should be doing. But the truth is that the biggest struggle that I have here locally is contractors. For example,
sourcing folks. Yep.
Yeah, I had a water main out in the property that I bought. It's been 2.5 months. Or I have a property that we're in. We have permits pulled on this property. We're deadlocked. We can't move because we're waiting on windows. We're in week 14 waiting on windows. So with these problems that we're having, it's slowing us down. You understand, the speed of the velocity of money is so important here.
Correct.
That's why we're going more towards, hey, let's just list as many properties as possible. My business partner is he owns a brokerage. My wife works for his brokerage, so we have a very favorable split.
Yeah.
And we've basically, what we've done is we've had a really good year in 2021.
Yeah.
So I'm doubling down. I'm going to TV. I just ordered my first mail for January, doubled my mail budget. Yeah. And I'm just going to list everything I can get.
Yeah, you're going to wholesale it all, right? Yeah. What has you make a decision? It's probably fair to say that the properties you hold just make better rentals, and some properties just don't make very good rentals.
Yeah. So the way we look at it is we're looking for at least $400 a month in net cash flow on the property. So if I buy it deep enough, we want to go more into that direction. But this year, so when I came down here, my business partner opened up all my money comes local from local banks. So 2019, 2020 was proving to them that, hey, we're financially smart. We know what we're doing. Yep. And then we started adding rentals and owner finance notes. So this year is about proving that. Next year, now that we have them trained, right? We're up for renewal on our lines now. Now that we have them trained and we've proven that we can actually buy these properties, rent them, and pull cash out and refinance them. Yep. We'll probably lean more in on that this year. But there's no it's whatever the flavor of the week is for me. I mean, honestly, it's like when I see the house, it's like, oh, this is gonna make a great flip or whatnot. At the end of the day, I have a lot of overhead like you, so
Yep.
I have to have properties to keep feeding this beast, right?
Right.
Because this business just eats up cash.
Yeah, when you're in it, when you're in a when you're owner direct and you're shelling out a lot of money, a lot of overhead to make that happen, a lot of staff to make that happen, the $400 a month on a cash flow doesn't cut it.
Well, it doesn't at all. And
Not only, right. You need a balance.
yeah, and I'm blessed with an amazing business partner that's extremely successful in real estate. He owns apartments, movie theaters, shopping centers with
Wow.
targets,
Yeah.
build subdivisions. Cash $400 a month split between him and I to him doesn't do anything.
No.
You know, so which is great, is pushing me to not look at that cash flow as anything. We don't touch that money. We're paying all. We're not taking any of that paying debt down.
Yep.
He's forcing me to do that, which is a blessing. 10 years from now, I will thank Shane for that, right?
Right.
So the rentals, I mean, we pull a little bit of cash when we refinance it just to have kind of a transaction fee.
Yep.
And that's it. But the cash flow is really just kind of a safety net and kind of a minimum requirements we want $400.
Yeah. All right. I'm gonna take a hard turn. Who was as a child, who was the greatest single influence in your life?
As a child, that's really weird. It's hard for me to answer that. I don't really, not to make this a personal thing, but I grew up in a very rocky environment. I moved out when I was 14. Very, very unstable environment. So really, it wasn't a childhood thing. I just kind of floated through life, just kind of surviving. But in my early 20s, I was a valet at a restaurant, a top steakhouse in Dallas. And I met a guy. He was 30 at the time. He had all the cars, all the women. He had the charisma.
He was it.
He had it, literally.
Yeah.
And he smoked. So he always came outside and talked to me because you can't smoke in restaurants.
Yeah.
And we got along really well. One night, he said, I'm going to give you a tip more valuable than cash.
Mm-hmm.
I'm broke. You know what I mean? I'm working 2 jobs trying to pay off debt.
Yeah.
It's more valuable than cash. And he gave me Think and Grow Rich. It's not here, it's in my home office, but he gave me Think and Grow Rich. And I consumed that book.
Yeah.
He came in every Thursday to the steakhouse. I consumed that book. And the next week, he could tell that I consumed it because I was just talking to him about it, right? Like I wasn't, I was talking, I consumed the book. He said, hey, if you want to change your life, you'll quit both your jobs and show up at my office tomorrow. Showed up at his office, started working kind of as an intern for him. He ran from the police in a Lamborghini and got caught by a helicopter. So he lost his license. This is like 6 months after I was working for him with struggling my ass off trying to do sales. And he lost his license. He said, hey, you're a valet. You want to become my apprentice? You move in with me and you're with me 24 hours a day. I don't have a license. I have to move. He moved a lot. So I was flying on this jet. I was driving around for 6 months and just consumed the whole mindset piece of what his name's Josh Langford. But and I realized that everything was about mindset, right? Or most things are about mindset.
Right.
And he made me realize that.
Wow. That's how long did you work there, or were you in his world?
About three or so years, 3.5 years. And then went off and did my own thing in the same industry. He was working in Wall Street.
Okay.
And then the market crashed.
Yeah.
But yeah, Josh Langford, by far the most kind of inspirational or motivational guy. I mean, he changed my life.
Yeah. Talk to me about you've got a small, pretty tight knit group there, and contractors. I would suspect in your market, just like mine, you're using. If you can find a guy, great, and you just use them and use them and use them. Right? Talk to me about the culture of both in your small team, and then how that extends to the contractors.
Well, culture is. I mean, for me, it's just a couple of VAs. So it's pretty. I mean, I'm just going to be really, really transparent with you guys. Because they're virtual, it's through Slack. So that's one thing that I need to improve upon is culture and building a team. I'm working my ass off. These are all applicants. I'm working to build an in-house team. I have 2 empty offices right behind me. And that's what I moved down here to do, is build a team. Because my team's virtual, culture is we're just chatting, so it's very weird. We do a weekly Zoom and that's about it. I lack in that culture aspect. Now I'm in a building this is my partner's business.
Yeah.
there's 2 buildings here, so there's about 60 employees here. So the culture here is amazing, right? Like I like to, I'm the cheerleader. I walk around clapping and tell everybody to have a good day and like try to keep people fired up. What's interesting, Neil, is that I realized during COVID, you know, the stuff that mastermind started to fall apart, and I was at home just working, driving to Waco, buying houses. And what I realized during COVID is that my energy comes from other people,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
When we moved here, I had an office down the street, and it was just me. And I had to move into this office. This is actually a brokerage office that I'm in. I just had to get around people, right?
People.
Like
Yeah.
Energy. I didn't know that about me until COVID hit, or until pandemic, or whatever the hell you want to call it. That's when I realized that my energy comes from other people.
It takes a very different, it takes significant intention to work to build a culture when they're virtual versus it being easier to facilitate when they're in person. Don't you think?
Absolutely. And somebody that I really admire and look up to in the industry is Jason Lewis in Salt Lake.
Yeah.
I don't know what he's up to now. We haven't talked to him in a little bit, but last time I talked to him, he had like 30 something virtual, just in his home buying business, right? He has other businesses. And that's something that always blew me away, is how he motivated and created this culture. They had these weekly games and all this stuff. And I was like, wow, that's really cool that he's done that virtually, because I struggle to do that in person.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And what role are you hiring for? Or roles are you hiring for?
I'm hiring two roles right now. Admin, I just need a personal assistant. You can't see it here at my desk, is insane. We're up for renewals on our lines. I have a bookkeeper, but I'm just all this stuff that should be organized. I'm the typical visionary, right? Like I'm not organized at all. I have all these processes on this dry erase board over here that I've never implemented, right? They're all up here. So I'm hiring a personal assistant to kind of help me. I want to develop them into the COO role.
Yes. You need that integrator. You need that person who can come in, start someplace, and then work into that integrator role.
That's right. Like I want somebody that thrives in SOPs.
Yes.
Because that sounds terrible to me. I like to be out. I like to be out with sellers and be out. You know, I like to talk and just negotiate and impact people. And then hiring a lead manager. That's with the TV firing off everywhere, doubling the mail budget.
The calls are going to increase. Somebody's got to be there to answer it, and you don't want them. Yeah, you don't want them not answered.
That's right. Right now we have virtual people answering it, and they do an okay job.
Yeah.
Language is fine. They sound American or Mexican American.
Yeah.
But the communication style is not there. They don't understand sarcasm, or they just can't banter, is the best way for me to put it. They lack that connection because they can't have a banter like you and I are doing right now.
Yep. Right. Yeah. Tell me, what's your biggest, since being in the industry, what's been the biggest challenge, the biggest loss, the biggest, frustration, anything you've had to go through was there ever a time where something occurred, you're like, I don't know how I'm going to get through this. Has there been a tough spot at all?
There's been a lot. I don't want to get into the details, but just realizing I came into this business with a partner in my HomeVestors franchise, and then I went into other aspects of this business with partners, or what I believe were partners.
Yeah.
And those partnerships not working out were really, really tough. And both times I thought, oh, this is the end. Like, woe is me. This isn't going to work out. Where do I go from here? But the truth is that just like that mountain back there, you can have these great peaks, but just because there's a little valley afterwards, it doesn't mean it's bad. It's bad for the situation, but both times that I've had these partners, I've had 3 major partnership breakups, and every time it's forced me to go to another level, right? Like I've had to step up and take more responsibility and take more action. So when the breakups happen, it just seems it's heartbreaking. 1, and then 2, you're like, where do I go from here? But every time I've kind of elevated up. This last couple of years, I've grown personally so much, financially as well, but personally, I've just, kind of realizing that building my own dream rather than helping other people build their dream has been a very liberating feeling.
It prepared you for a new peak.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Would you agree then? To me, it seems like it's challenging to grow professionally and financially with any depth or with any real meeting without first growing personally.
Yeah, for me, you know me well enough that
Yeah.
I'm very, very big into self-help. You can't see it here, but I have a whole list of affirmations in this wall right here.
Yeah.
I journal every morning. I start my day by saying, writing 3 things I'm grateful for, 3 goals for the day, then all these affirmations, I write them. As soon as I get to my office, I shut my door like a weirdo and close my blinds so people can't see me. I say all these affirmations out loud.
It's awesome.
And it's just a mindset piece. Like I'm constantly forcing myself to grow. I invest constantly myself with masterminds, coaching, and Tony Robbins.
Yeah.
I listen to Ed Milet every morning at the gym. Like I believe that everything that happens on the outside is controlled from it. It happens up here first, right? Like you must see it and believe it up here, and then it becomes a reality here. But you truly got to believe it. It's. I think that's. I come from a little bit of a rough background. I can't believe where I am, and I believe all that's because of the positive thinking.
There's a good saying that everything in the world's created twice: first in the mind's eye, and second in the man's hand. Right? You got to see it first.
Is that from As a Man Thinketh?
You know what? I don't know.
I bet so.
You think so?
For your listeners, if you're not in the mindset, As a Man Thinketh is probably, you can read it in 45 minutes probably.
It's a short one. Yeah. Tell me how, the first time you went, let's call it down into a valley. What had you go, what internally, have you always been this way mentally, or did meeting that, the guy at the steakhouse just program you for every time you hit a valley, you're just mentally strong enough to get out of it?
The dude was absolutely insane. Yeah, he programmed me. I mean, every day he had this massive house in Preston Hollow, actually. Massive house. Every day he'd wake up at 5 a.m. Every day, Neil, and play Red Wine by UB40 at 5 a.m. Throughout the whole house had speakers. And then he would get up and he's like yelling, "Let's kick today's ass." I mean, he was just very animated. And then he made me start reading these books. He made me read Atlas Shrugged by Ayn Rand, which I've now read twice. It's 1,800 pages.
Yeah.
It's a beast of a book. I've read it twice. But I just got so programmed there, just being around him. He came from a very similar background that I did, moved out at a young age, self-made. So I just accepted it, and kind of like burn my ships. I don't have anything to lose, right? Like if you don't come from a lot, why not just risk everything to see what you can get, right?
Right.
So I was programmed in my early 20s, and I was just stuck with it. And I'm a constant student. I mean, like I said, I have books on my desk, I have books at home, I'm journaling, I'm listening to podcasts, I'm going to Tony Robbins events, I'm part of masterminds. I'm a constant student and always trying to improve and always analyzing myself, right? I'm trying to be very honest with myself. Like it's the end of the year. Today's my last working day of the year.
Yep.
The rest of the year, I'm going to reflect on what I did good, bad, great, right? Like I made plenty of mistakes.
It's imperative to deal in the currency of honesty, especially internally, right?
And it's tough.
It's tough because we all tell ourselves stories.
Yeah. Or I wouldn't even say that I tell myself stories, but ask my fiance about it. I'm very good at compartmentalizing. If something bad happens, I'll just box that damn thing up and just move on, right? But because I don't like to live in regret, I like to live in the future. But at the same time, I have to go back there and dig through those boxes and make sure that I'm learning the lessons that are important.
You're right. That's interesting. I would think that's such a positive to be able to compartmentalize, because if your ability at times this can be a bumpy business, and taking it home is no good.
Yes.
Right. The ability to put it in a box. That's interesting, though. There's a negative side to that. You got to go back and dig it and make sure you've learned the lesson.
Yeah. The lesson,
whatever I don't know. Right.
We stay so busy, Neil, and we're all deal chasers in this industry. It's so easy to make a huge mistake and then a week later close and see a HUD where you get $92,000.
Right.
And it's like, well, that $10,000 mistake, who cares? I mean, $92,000, 6 days later.
Right.
That's a real life example right there.
Correct.
It's easy to forget about that, but at the end of the year, I go, where were my huge mistakes? And I have made some big ones this year.
Yeah. For us and me personally, it's not about, yes, it's about living every day with intention and doing everything you can, but it's not about, did I win the loser day in dollars and cents? So for us, you got to expand that to go, there are times where it's a tough week, but like you said, it's an incredible month. So what lessons did I learn along the way? And are we really Are we going forward or going backwards? Right.
That's right. And something I try not to focus on too much. I mean, obviously we're in business and it's a business podcast. Like I want to financially win. I am financially winning, but I also want to make sure that I'm growing, right?
Yes.
That's something that I realized from a few years back is I wasn't growing. Like I personally want to grow and make a bigger impact. So it's not just about winning financially. It's like, how can I impact more people and do more for the community or do more for my friends and things like that.
Yeah. Hey, with the perfect transition, let's move into what I call the 4-4 impact. Your favorite quote: "Life happens for me, not to me." Tony Robbins said it. Why is that important to you?
Because it goes back to the mindset thing. Life happens for me, not to me. Like I personally don't. I know a lot of people won't agree with this. It's fine. But I personally don't think that anything happens by chance. I don't believe in luck. I believe that it's all kind of controlled internally, and what we project and what we focus on is what happens. So even when bad things happen, right? Like the other night, I had a lady turn. I was in the left lane. She was in the right lane. There's a middle lane between us. She turned left around and hit my car, right? Like that's not my fault, right?
Right.
But the truth is when I pulled up to that stoplight, I saw that she had her damn blinker on, but I said, there's no way somebody's dumb enough to take a left-hand turn for 3 lanes over. So that didn't happen to me. That happened for me. Like I learned a lesson there. If somebody has their blinker on, back up. You know what I mean? Like let them go. Right. But Tony Robbins is super important to me.
Yeah.
I've gone to a bunch of his events. I consume his stuff, and life happens too. For me, not to me, is very, very important. I know there's things that happen that we can't control, but I can control how I process them and what I learn from them and how I react to them is most important. I'm a highly reactional, and I try not to be, right? Like I'm a highly emotional person. I try to bring stuff internally, rationalize it, process it, and then figure out what good came from that. Even when that lady hit me in my car, just a couple weeks ago. Right. I'm selling my damn car, right? The car is in perfect condition, you know?
Right. Well, it's about getting back. Yeah.
That funny story. We're out there and she's like, I'm really sorry. I can't afford for my insurance to go up. She goes, this is why I don't drive at night. I looked at her and I said, well, Carrie, it is nighttime. She literally, I was just like, how do you say that to somebody?
Yeah. Yeah. Gary V says that too. You know, if I get hit by a car and, you know, it's because I was 15 minutes too early or too late. It's about extreme ownership of whatever it is, learning a lesson and processing it, because getting in that accident, you're gonna have, it's not gonna, how you feel about it is not gonna change the fact that it happened.
That's right.
So how do you process it and how do you move on, knowing that just we got other things to do, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. What do you think holds most investors back?
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
About that question? Yeah. It's 2 parts. Are you asking about new investors or experienced investors?
Oh, that's a good question. Let's do 2 questions. All right. What do you think holds new investors back from taking action, from getting to where, you know, you and I both started to getting where you and I both are today?
For me, the main thing for new investors is the lack of committing to advertising consistently, right? Like I've talked to so many people that are like, oh, I sent 2,000 postcards to get work. 2,000 postcards. Like that's a day in the month, you know?
Correct.
So I think the biggest pullback for new investors is fear of losing money. And they just haven't processed that they have to invest money. Like truly, to be an investor, they have to invest into marketing to actually take the action to invest money. So I think it's fear of losing money. All the veteran people that I know in the industry accept that we're going to lose money, right? Like we take these huge risks. I just committed to about $70,000 in TV commercials next year. I'm excited about it, right? Like even I know I'll buy a couple houses, but if I didn't, I still have all this exposure, and it'll probably feed my direct mail, and it'll get me some other opportunities in the marketplace. People will see me on TV and things like that.
Right.
So I think for new investors, it's the fear of taking action in regards to spending advertising. And experienced people.
Let me set this up. Experienced people, they're comfortable where they're at, but you know, there's another peak to climb. So it's a choice. So what holds them back from being comfortable What do they say? Good's the enemy of great. From being good to moving to greatness to moving to a new peak.
I don't want to speak for anybody but myself, because I feel like I'm in that spot right now.
Sure.
I mean, this financially has been amazing here for me. I've grown a lot, and I'm struggling. I'm fighting through this right now. This year financially has been great, and I have to battle this every day to keep it small, keep it all mentality, right? Like financially it's great, but this keep it small, keep it all mentality is I'm at a ceiling, right? Like I don't have enough time or energy to scale to another level.
Right.
42 deals this year, or 42 transactions this year. I want to do 100 next year. I want to own 300 doors in 3 years. It's impossible for me to do that without scaling my business
Without people.
with people.
Yep.
And my biggest problem I'm overcoming is I've gone through 300 applicants. I'm never going to find another me, right? Like nobody's ever going to do it. And I'm not great. Nobody's ever going to do it as good as I can to me, right? And I know there's people that do it way better than I do, but every person I'm interviewing on this, I'm finding all these faults, and I have to get over that. Just realize that if they do it at 80% as good as I do, they're taking off a huge percentage of my stress or my mind capacity, and I'm moving that over there. And then I can focus on fixing that other 20%. But it's a huge hurdle I'm having, is that I can't find that perfect person, right? And I have to admit or accept that they probably don't exist.
You just respectfully, it sounds like you just need a little mind shift relative to that.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm working on it. I really am. Like, that's something, and that's a fear of mine, right? Like I'll tell you this, instead of a fear, what I saw that happen is Jimmy Ogle, a good friend of ours.
Yep.
We watched him explode. When I met him, he was on the verge.
He was almost, right.
And now he's doing 20, 30 deals a month in Oklahoma City.
So
about 3 or 4 months ago, I called Jimmy and said, "Hey man, I need to switch my mindset here."
Yeah.
And he's a big mindset guy. So can I come up there and spend 2 days routine? He's like, "Oh, it'll be boring. You won't like it. So just let me have this, please."
Yeah.
Now I went up there, and me and Jimmy hung out for 2 days. We spent half a day going through his meetings, half a day with his team. The next day we just kind of did what we wanted to do that day. And I always thought of the team as an anchor. Like, I'm going to be married to my office. I'm going to be stuck there motivating what you have to do, training what you have to do. But I saw it as like this thing that's going to like hold me back. I like to travel a lot, as you know.
Right.
What I saw with Jimmy, we went out for a whole damn day. He was not on his phone for his business. Yeah. He didn't know what was going on. And then we came back to his office. They bought 2 houses. They sold a house. Rehabs were going on. And it was a mindset shift that the team's not the anchor. The team was the sell. It's like freedom. We were out looking at laundry mats, trying to buy a damn laundry mat. But how can you do that if you're dealing with the contractors and chasing leads and all this other stuff?
Yeah.
So that is a mindset shift that I'm working on, right? Like I fully haven't accepted it. And my personal coach is telling me that still. I haven't fully accepted
it gets easier. Once you find that integrator, it gets easier. Because right now you're I've been in those shoes, man. You're all in, and once you get that integrator, you can go, cool. I don't want to do any of the stuff you're doing anyway. And I do, and it's on the board and has been there for a year. I didn't do it to begin with, right?
Right.
Yeah. Hey, outside of real estate, what are you most passionate about?
Travel, by far. I love the outdoors. So during the winter, I'm skiing. I'm in the mountains. I love the mountains. During the summer, or spring, fall, we're backpacking. I mean, we just got for Thanksgiving. We skipped Thanksgiving with our family. We went to Big Bend, which is one of the largest national parks in the state. We went deep into it. I mean, for example, we were there for 3 days and we saw 5 people in the entire 3 days.
Wow.
My phone was off for 5 days. No, my phone was completely off for 5 days. I love nature. I love to, I'm very engaged here, right? In my environment. So I love to disconnect and stick to the mountains.
Favorite place in the world?
What's that?
Favorite place in the world?
So far, my favorite memory or favorite place I've ever visited is not nature, actually, but taking a walk through Venice on a cold night right after New Year's. It was like I literally I felt like I was 300 years in the past. Like I can feel the air on my face when I talk about Venice. Venice is a spectacular place. Again, it's like nature. That place shuts down like 8 o'clock at night. There was nobody. You're walking through these crazy canals and these crazy canals. So that was by far one of my favorites.
That's cool.
There's still so much to see, right? Like that, I think I could top that.
Yeah. What's your favorite way to make an impact in your community, however you define community?
There's a few different ways. So I run a local Facebook group. There's a lot of young people here locally that want to get into the space. I do a monthly happy hour. I do office hours. I try to help these young people and inspire them to go out and take action and get me some damn deals. I buy from wholesalers too.
Sure. Yeah. Right.
That's one way. And then secondly is actually trying to help people that are truly in need. My beautiful fiance, about 4 years ago, she works with special needs kids as a volunteer. And then she put together a huge Christmas party for the Boys and Girls Club in Dallas. She asked me to come and paint faces, and I didn't want to do it at all. I painted like 300 underprivileged kids' faces, and they were getting like Matchbox toys and like head over heels over this. I was like, man, this Christmas is terrible. And they're so grateful.
So grateful. Yeah.
And so it changed my life. So now we do a lot in the community. For example, 2 blocks behind us, there's a special need. It's a school for kids that have been traumatic life experiences. For example, dead parents, incarcerated parents, or drug addict parents. They take them into the school. It's privately funded. My best friend's wife volunteers there. It was raining. She sent me a video of water leaking into I was calling it the crib room. I now know it's called a nursery. The water was leaking in the nursery. So I took action right then. She sent me that video. I went out, I found my roofer. My roofer's replacing the roof for cost. And we went out, we raised $36,000 in 7 days.
Wow.
I got the TV, I got the news over there.
Yep.
7 days later, we raised $36,000. We're replacing the siding, we're replacing the roof, we're adding AC to the gymnasium. So we try to do stuff like that right now. Another contractor of mine, he has a family member that's a quadriplegic. We're raising money to convert the kid's father recently passed. The mom's not strong enough to lift the kid into the bathtub. So we're opening up the bathroom and then putting a lift in there so the lift will pull him out of his chair and put him in the bathtub.
Wow.
So we try to impact the communities like head on, like these people are 2 blocks over. So that's how.
Dude, big heart for you. That's just terrific. Well, say if people want to reach out or they want to follow you online, where can they find you?
Facebook, Instagram. I'm pretty, because my name's Stinson, Stinson Bland. I don't think there's another one. Pretty easily found.
We'll make sure we get links in the show. Well, listen, I really appreciate connecting up here, Stinson. Thanks for the time.
Absolutely, Neil. And I just want to say that I love the name of the show.
Great.
I really do. I like it more than the burrito.
Yeah. No, we had tossed around a burrito podcast idea. So no, we doubled down on this because it takes something to get through this business.
That's great. It really does. And can I tell you a quick story before we go?
I'd love to hear.
I was in Big Bend just a few weeks ago, and Big Bend, I see your sign back there.
Yeah.
In Big Bend, a lot of the mountains are pieces, right? Like they go up and they're flat.
Yeah.
And what I was standing out, I get real weird when I get to the desert. I was sitting out there with Daniela, and I said, hey, that's like that mountain right there. They look at this huge place. I'll send you a picture. And I said, that's the mountain of success. And she's like, what are you talking about? I was like, most people don't realize it, but the mountain of success is flat, right? And
Correct.
Everybody that climbs to the top of that, there's thousands of people up there. They're all pulling for you to get up there.
Yep.
I think that a lot of people don't realize that truly successful people want other people to be successful. That I had that realization that when we were in Big Bend, I'm surrounded by people like you that if I had a question or a problem that I could call that are more successful than me, they would instantly try to help me. Right?
Correct.
Instantly.
I agree with you. And then to piggyback on that, I think it's about self-mastery. I don't think it's about it's about meaning. It's a destination. It's the journey, not the destination.
That's right.
It's about mastery, improving yourself. Just like what you had commented heavily on is making sure you, Stinson, can be the best version you can be of yourself.
That's
right. Yeah, no, it's terrific. Good story. I appreciate it. Listen, hey, thanks again for being on, and to the audience, I appreciate you listening, watching here to The Real Grit. And I'm Neil Timmins. For everybody here at Real Grit, I'm reminding you that real estate requires real grit. I'll see you next time. If you like our content and want more, you can access it at realgritpodcast.com. You hear it guest after guest. Instinctively, you already know it. But let me call it out. The most expensive action is inaction. The real estate market is full of opportunities. You just need to uncover them. You can build a business that lasts for years, makes monumental impact in the lives of those that you love. It's not just about business, but about the freedom you get because of it. Have you ever heard the saying, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. I believe that partnering is essential. In fact, I partner with hardworking investors all the time. The point is that you can get a lot further with the right partner. Let me say it again, the right partner. If you've ever thought about partnering with anyone, or if you have a partner now, I encourage you to download my free Partner and Profit Guide, which includes the top 5 must-answer questions to evaluate a profitable partnership. You can find it at www.legacyimpactpartners.com. I'll see you in the next episode.